Well, hello and welcome to Thrive Thursday for Thursday, September 16th, 2021. And that 16th means that we're past the halfway point this month. So if you're not halfway to getting your goals or don't have momentum to get you through the end of the month to get you there, let's get after it now. Let's do some reflect, plan, execute. Let's go back, see what didn't happen that should have happened, how we can make it happen. Let's get it planned. And above all, let's execute it. All right. Well, I'm going to go over today our 321 today, which is failure, mindset, and relationships. And we never ever talk about that at A to B for me. I think that's something we talk about almost every session. We hit on one of these three topics. So I'm going to back out of here and get you in full screen mode here. And I'm going to leave all the little ditties on there so you can be sure that you got this week of failure, mindset, and relationship. All right. Well, every week we go over 321 Thursday. It's 3 ideas, 2 quotes, and 1 question to consider this week. And we get these from James Clear, the author of Atomic Habits. So thank you, James. You always send over some great stuff and allow us to get into some great discussions in our A to B for Me community sessions. All right. Well, 3 ideas. Here we go. 1, many people wish they started sooner. Almost nobody wishes they started later. So think about that when you're looking at things, man, when should I really get this venture going? What should I do? Well, I'm not saying rush the thing, right? I'm not saying it's a 1-3-2, here we go type thing. Oh, yeah, you want to get things in line. You want to be sure your ducks are in a row, but doggone, do everything you can do to get it done sooner than later. When we go back to Darren Hardy and the compound effect, that's the whole heart of the compound effect is how are things going to compound if you don't ever get them started. So let's look at this and let's look at our projects and let's figure out how we can get them done or started sooner than later. Because again, that compound effect will happen and you'll get things rolling. And sometimes, you think about, well, I'm just not quite ready yet. Well, I get that with a lot with people who are talking about doing what we're doing here, doing things on Facebook, doing lives, doing speaking engagements. And so I'm just not sure if I'm ready. Well, get ready. Just go do them. How you going to get good if you don't get started, right? So get out there and just fall. Fall on your face, do whatever you got to do, but get going. Because and a lot of times on the video stuff, people worry so much about doing Facebook videos, this, that, and the other. And I'll be real honest with you. It's what I was told when I first started. Ain't nobody really listening anyway when you first get started. So just get out there, have some fun, get all your stuff rolling, and get things going. So be sure, again, start sooner than later. Number 2, failure. Here we go. One of my favorite topics. The failure is most useful when you give your best effort. If you fail with a lackluster effort, you haven't learned much. Perhaps you could have succeeded with a proper focus. But if your best effort fails, you have learned something valuable. This way doesn't work. And I talked about that yesterday in our Overcoming Obstacles Module 1 summary and reflection. It's the fact that failure, you just have to figure out, what doesn't work. It's just an education. You get out there and you roll. But again, if you get up there and you just have, whatever, let's try this, I don't know, and you're never committed and you give that lackluster performance, you're never, ever going to know. You're not going to learn anything because you didn't give it your best. So you always have to do your best. Put your best effort in there. And then if it doesn't work, then you've really learned something. And we can really diagnose that then. In our coaching sessions, it's hard to diagnose anything if you're really not all in. And if you're not going for it, if you're not committed. But just remember that failure is most useful when you give your best effort, but never be afraid of failure because it's just education. It's just weeding out what doesn't work. All right. This is very important. Nobody is rooting for you to fail. You may succeed. You may fail. But for the most part, nobody cares one way or the other. This is good. The world is big and you are small, which means you can chase your dreams with little worry for what people think. And this kind of reflects back on my first comment about doing videos. Just get out there. I mean, nobody really wants you to fail. I mean, you might have made some enemies, I don't know, over life, and people just don't want you to succeed. But to hell with them. Forget about them. Move on with your life. And you may succeed, you may fail, but for the most part, nobody really cares. Now, your friends, family, close family, they probably care because they've got a vested interest in this thing. But globally, nobody cares. You got 500,000 Facebook friends. Are they really friends? Well, probably not. So if you do something, you stumble, and they say something, do you really care? I don't really care. The bottom line is a big world, and I don't mean you're small in a small way, but when we look at the universe, individually, we are all pretty small little things. But but what it means is here, just forget about it. Take all that pressure off yourself. Just go after your dreams with little worry for what people will think. If you've got it all set up and you know what your destiny is, and you know what you want to be, you know what you want to leave on this earth when you're gone behind, just go ahead and go for it, and don't worry about what other people think, because the bottom line is most of the time they're not paying attention anyway. So just go for it. All right, how about a couple of quotes? We got one first from Carlos Castaneda. Now, Carlos is a really interesting guy. He was a Peruvian American, and he had a series of books called on Don Juan, and this is the journey of Ixtlan, the lesson of Don Juan. But it's funny because he wrote them. I think it was a 10 book series, but he wrote them as if he was under the tutelage of Yaqui, which means man of knowledge, and the Yaqui was Don Juan Matus. And so it was going over the teachings of Don Juan, kind of basically training in shamanism and ancient paths of knowledge. So a very interesting series of books. You probably ought to at least catch a couple of them. The first one was the teachings of Don Juan. This one came from the lessons of Don Juan. And the funny thing about it is there's always a controversy out there. Was Don Juan Matus real, or was it all just fiction? And he really never let that out. But I don't know. A lot of folks think it is fiction, but it's still good stuff. But he was an author and anthropologist, and this is his view on mindset. The trick is in what one emphasizes. We either make ourselves miserable or we make ourselves happy. The amount of work is the same. It's true. I mean, we've heard it before. A smile or a frown, it takes the same muscles. It takes the same action. But here we talk about you can either make yourself miserable or you can make yourself happy. The amount of work is going to be the same. So you just have to decide. And that's what it is most of the time. It's a decision. When you see people that are mope around and they're just completely in this depression thing a whole time. And I'm not talking about psychiatric type situations. I'm talking about just general folks. They're miserable because they want to be. I mean, they want to be miserable. They have to get kicked out of that. And if you get yourself caught in that, come on, reach out to us and let's get you rolling, because you got to get those thoughts right, because it takes the same amount of work to be happy as it does to be sad. So let's get you on the right side of that. All right, and the next one is by the poet Young Pueblo on relationships. You might say, Young Pueblo, who's that? Well, that's a pen name. It's actually Diego Perez. He's a poet, kind of a essayist. He has some blogs and things. Really, really good stuff. He's Ecuadorian, and he really teaches on really clarity and connection. Actually, his first book was Inward, which is really good poetry, and then he followed it up with Clarity and Connection. So if you haven't read any Diego Perez or Young Pueblo, which means young people, get out there and grab some of his stuff, because it is really, really good stuff. And like I said, he's Ecuadorian. And one of my sons just got back from Ecuador. And I tell you what, the surfing is awesome down there. So if any of you guys are surfers, you might want to get down there in the early part of the year. They got some good waves down there. But anyway, find a partner who is ready to build with you. It is not about finding perfection in another person. is about realizing when you come across an undeniable connection that nourishes your being and matches the type of support you are looking for. Getting lost in the idea of perfection is a hindrance. Being with someone who is committed to going through the ups and downs of life together is truly priceless. When two people embrace their imperfections and commit to growing into better versions of themselves, it will naturally enhance the happiness they share in the relationship. And based on those that little verbiage there, you can see why I recommend you going out and getting some of the stuff. Really just common sense, which is really, people talk to me and they say, yeah, you're just kind of a common sense kind of guy. Yeah, there's not a lot of hoop and holler here. I mean, we're not doing rallies, we're doing more seminars here, but it boils down to just common sense. And here you are about looking for perfection, looking for this perfect thing. Well, doggone it, just find someone who's committed to going through the ups and downs of life together, because that's really priceless. And that's one of the things we try and do here to help you at A to B for me, is to be one of those partners where we're here for you. I've got a couch in my office. You want to come lay in it? We can do that deal. But if you need some heavy duty counseling, and my daughter's got a master's in psychiatry if you need some really deep help. But the bottom line is, just look for connections that supports you. We talk about this at Compound Effect. Talk about it at Miracle Morning. Jim Rohn stuff we go through. The people that are around you, you want to really be careful who that group is, and pick the right group. One that's going to uplift you. One you're going to have to really grow to stay up with it, and that they bring you up and not put you down. But when two people embrace their imperfections and commit to growing into better versions of themselves, it will naturally enhance the happiness they share in a relationship. So look for that. And if you don't have that right now, maybe sit down with your significant other, your wife, spouse, whatever it is, this weekend, and go over that and see if you can't work something out and make that relationship a little bit stronger and really what it needs to be for both of you. All right. Well, let's go back to the question for you for this week. What's the cost of doing a poor job? And what's the cost of doing a mediocre job? And what's the cost of doing an exceptional job? Now, which price are you willing to pay? We talked about discomfort in overcoming obstacles this week. Discomfort equals growth. So it all boils down to how much discomfort are you willing to put up with to get a measured amount of growth. And just think back this week on, what's the cost of doing a poor job? Well, we all know the answer to that. It's very, very high. And when you're talking about discomfort, I'm telling you, it's higher than going out of the way to do an exceptional job. When you look at the end result, or even doing a mediocre job. Again, how are we going to judge those? How are we going to look back on those, reflect on those, and decide what went wrong? Because they were just poor. They were just mediocre. But if you get out there and do your best and be exceptional, and things don't work out, now we've really got some education and some fruits from failure that we can look at, chew on, and decide what we need to do next. But think about this, and which price are you willing to pay? And I know some of you are thinking in your brains right now, I know when I sit down with him what he's going to say. But hey, if you're going to do it, let's do it big, right? All right. Well, that's it for this week for Thrive Thursday. Failure, mindset, and relationships. I'm going to hop back in here real quick, say goodbye to you. I hope you had a great week. Again, we're in the middle of September. So keep rolling with your dreams and your goals. And if you need some help, reach out to us, Don at a2bforme.com. I'm here for you. If you want to go up and get a strategy session, you can reach out. We can do that as well. But keep rolling, keep it going. If you haven't checked out Overcoming Obstacles, hop back into our YouTube channel. Go ahead and subscribe to that and go back and check those out, because we're into session 10. Going to be going into module 2 next week on mindset. So we're going to start 4 weeks of motivation and mindset. So you want to be sure and get that on your calendar for the next for October, because it's going to be October is going to, or I guess the end of September into mid-October is going to be motivation and mindset in overcoming obstacles. So good stuff. You don't want to miss it. All right. Well, have a great weekend. Finish off strong. For those of you in the group, we'll have Finish Strong Friday tomorrow in the one-on-one groups, and we'll review stuff with you as well. But have a great one and keep moving in the direction of your dreams. We'll